The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning. It was bigger than any city, dark metal gleaming in the sunlight. People around the world stopped what they were doing and looked up. Some screamed, some prayed, most just stared in wonder. Ambassador Zekthor stood on the bridge of his flagship looking down at the blue planet below. His red eyes glowed with satisfaction. This would be conquest number 48 for the Altarian Empire. His species had perfected the art of taking over worlds. First came the fear, then the demands, then the surrender. It always worked the same way. The humans had been sending radio signals into space for over a century. The Galactic Senate had been watching them, waiting. Now it was time to bring Earth under proper control. Zekthor was 8 feet tall with gray skin and sharp teeth. His uniform was covered in medals from previous conquests. Behind him stood 12 other aliens from different worlds, all part of the Senate's diplomatic team. They expected this to be routine. The human response came faster than expected. OEI, small ship launched from Earth's surface, heading straight for the alien fleet. It was tiny compared to the massive warships, but it moved with confidence. On Earth, President Collins sat in the White House Situation Room with his top advisors. General Brooks wanted to scramble the military. Secretary of State Davis urged caution. But it was Ambassador Lisa Martinez who spoke up first. "We should welcome them," she said quietly. "This is the most important day in human history. We're not alone in the universe anymore." Martinez was a small woman with kind eyes and graying hair. She had spent 30 years handling difficult diplomatic situations. She believed that most conflicts started because people didn't understand each other. The human shuttle docked with the alien flagship. Captain Jake Morrison stepped out first, followed by Ambassador Martinez and Dr. Helen Ross, Earth's leading expert on communication. Morrison was a former Air Force pilot who now commanded Earth's small space fleet. He had volunteered for this mission because he was curious about the aliens, not afraid of them. The airlock opened and Morrison got his first look at the aliens. They were impressive and scary with weapons and armor, but he smiled anyway and stepped forward with his hand extended. "Welcome to our solar system," Morrison said. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison. We're honored to meet you." Zekthor stared at the human's outstretched hand. In his experience, new species either cowered in fear or attacked immediately. They never offered friendship. He didn't know what to do with the gesture. Ambassador Martinez stepped forward. She had studied what little they knew about alien body language. She bowed slightly, showing respect without submission. "I am Ambassador Lisa Martinez, representing the people of Earth," she said. "We've been hoping for this day for a very long time. We have so many questions about the galaxy, about your people. We've prepared a welcome ceremony, if you'd like, to visit our planet." Dr. Ross held up a small device. "We've been trying to learn your language from your transmissions," she said. "I hope we're pronouncing things correctly. We want to make sure we understand each other properly." The aliens exchanged glances. This was not going according to their usual script. Where were the demands to know their intentions? Where were the threats and defensive postures? Zekthor decided to move forward with standard procedure. "I am Ambassador Zekthor of the Altarian Empire, speaking for the Galactic Senate. Your species has been observed and evaluated. You will now submit to Senate authority and accept our guidance in galactic affairs." Morrison and Martinez looked at each other. Then Martinez smiled that same warm smile she used in every negotiation. "That sounds like something we should discuss properly," she said. "Would you like to visit Earth? We could show you our world, share our culture. We're very curious about galactic civilization. We'd love to learn from you." This was definitely not the usual response. Zekthor tried again, making his voice more threatening. "You do not understand. This is not a request. The Galactic Senate has authority over this sector. You will comply with our directives or face the consequences." Captain Morrison stepped forward. He was tall and calm, with the easy confidence of someone who had faced danger many times. But instead of being aggressive, he looked genuinely interested. "Could you tell us more about this Senate?" he asked. "How many species are involved? What kind of cooperation do you have? We've always wondered what galactic civilization would be like." Dr. Ross pulled out a tablet showing pictures of Earth. We'd love to show you our planet. We have amazing diversity in our cultures, our art, our music. Each region has developed differently. We think you'd find it fascinating. The alien delegation was confused. They had expected resistance, fear, or immediate submission. Instead, the humans seemed excited and welcoming. It was unsettling. One of the other aliens, an insect-like creature named Clicktar, spoke up. Do you not comprehend the situation? We represent superior military forces. Your compliance is required. Martinez nodded thoughtfully. We understand you have advanced technology and military capability. We're impressed by your ships and organization. But we're more interested in learning about your cultures, your histories, your philosophies. What drives galactic civilization? What are your greatest achievements? Morrison added, We've been alone for so long, thinking we were the only intelligent life in the universe. Now we find out there's a whole galactic community out there. This is incredible. We want to be part of it, to contribute something meaningful. The aliens were getting frustrated. Their psychological profiles suggested that humans should be more aggressive or more fearful. These three humans seemed genuinely happy to meet them. Zekthor tried a different approach. Your planet contains resources required by the Senate. Your population will be integrated into our labor systems. This is how new worlds are brought into galactic civilization. Ambassador Martinez's smile never wavered. That doesn't sound like the kind of civilization we'd want to join, she said gently. We were hoping for something more like partnership, mutual cooperation. We have a lot to offer and a lot to learn. Dr. Ross showed them more pictures on her tablet. Look, these are our cities, our art museums, our universities. We've spent thousands of years developing our cultures. We'd love to share them with you and learn about yours in return. Morrison gestured toward a viewport showing Earth below. We've prepared a reception for you. Representatives from every nation on Earth want to meet you. We've translated greetings into what we think might be your languages. Our best chefs have prepared foods we hope you can enjoy. The alien delegation stared at the blue planet. They could see lights from cities, signs of a thriving civilization. The humans weren't acting like a conquered people or even like people who realized they were about to be conquered. Zekthor made one more attempt. You will provide tribute to the Senate. Your military forces will be disbanded. Your government will accept Senate oversight. These are the terms of your integration. Ambassador Martinez tilted her head slightly. Those terms don't sound very appealing, she said. What would we get in return? What benefits does Senate membership provide? You get to continue existing, Clicktar said bluntly. Morrison laughed. Not mockingly, but with genuine amusement. Well, we were planning to continue existing anyway, but we were hoping for something more positive. Cultural exchange, technological cooperation, mutual defense agreements, that sort of thing. The aliens realized they had a problem. The humans weren't responding to intimidation, but they also weren't showing proper fear or submission. They seemed to genuinely believe that galactic civilization should be based on cooperation rather than domination. As the meeting continued, the humans kept asking questions about alien cultures, showing interest in galactic history, and offering to share their own achievements. They treated the alien delegation like welcome guests rather than conquerors. This was going to be more complicated than Zekthor had expected. 6 months had passed since the first meeting with the humans. The Great Hall of the Galactic Senate was filled with angry voices and flashing lights. Representatives from dozens of species argued loudly about what they now called the human problem. Senator Vexnar of the crystalline hegemony stood at the center podium. His body was made of living crystal that changed colors when he was upset. Right now, he was bright red with anger. The humans are destroying everything we have built, he announced to the assembly. They refuse to accept our authority. Worse, they are convincing other species to ignore us as well. The Senate chamber erupted in concerned chatter. Ambassador Tior Zekthor stepped forward to give his report. His previous confidence was gone. He looked tired and confused. The humans visited the Kepler colony last month, he said. They brought medical supplies and farming equipment. They asked for nothing. In return, the colonists now refuse to pay their tribute to the Senate. More angry voices filled the chamber. Senator Grixoth of the Mantis Collective clicked her mandibles in frustration. This is impossible. Fear and force have maintained order for thousands of years. How can simple kindness threaten our control? The truth was more complicated than any of them wanted to admit. Dr. Karen White had arrived at the Moth People's homeworld 3 months ago. The Moth People were dying from a plague that had killed half their population. The Senate had offered to help, but only in exchange for mining rights to their entire planet. Dr. White came alone in a small research ship. She was a quiet woman with gentle hands and a brilliant mind. She studied the plague for 2 weeks, then developed a cure using her own medical knowledge combined with moth biology research. She gave the cure freely to every moth person who needed it. She asked for nothing except the chance to learn about their culture. The Moth People, grateful, beyond words, declared her a hero of their species. When the Senate demanded their usual tribute, the Moth People refused. The humans helped us when we were dying, their leader had said. They are our friends now. We will not betray friends. Engineer Pete Collins had caused similar problems on Proxima Colony. The colony had been struggling with power shortages for years. The Senate had offered to build new generators, but the cost would have made the colonists slaves for generations. Pete arrived with a team of human engineers. They were excited to see alien technology and eager to help solve problems. Within a month, they had designed a new power system using local resources and human innovation. The colonists were amazed. Not only did the humans solve their power crisis, but they taught the colonists how to maintain and improve the system themselves. Pete refused any payment, saying that helping others was reward enough. Teacher Amy Johnson had created the biggest disruption of all. She had visited 12 different worlds, setting up cultural exchange programs between humans and alien species. She was a small woman with endless energy and a gift for languages. Amy believed that understanding between species was the key to peace. She learned each alien language perfectly, then taught humans and aliens to communicate with each other. Her exchange programs allowed young people from different worlds to live together and learn from each other. The results were shocking to the Senate. Species that had been enemies for centuries were becoming friends through Amy's programs. Trade agreements were being made without Senate approval. Defense pacts were forming based on mutual respect rather than fear. Senator Vexnar's crystal body flashed angry red again. The humans are not just ignoring our authority. They are making it irrelevant. Species are choosing cooperation over control. The Senate's intelligence network had been watching human activities across the galaxy. The reports were disturbing. Everywhere humans went, they acted the same way. They were curious, helpful, and genuinely interested in making friends. Captain Dan Foster had visited the war-torn Arcturus system, where 2 species had been fighting for decades. Instead of choosing sides, he had convinced both groups to work together on a joint space station project. The fighting stopped as former enemies worked side by side. Dr. Lisa Chang had helped the silicon-based life forms of Beta Centauri develop new communication methods. These beings had been isolated for centuries because no one could understand their mineral-based language. Lisa spent months learning to communicate through crystal formations and light patterns. Now, the Silicon beings were active members of the growing human alliance. They provided unique technologies that no carbon-based species could develop. The pattern was always the same. Humans would arrive, show genuine interest in local problems, offer help without expecting anything in return, and leave behind grateful friends who no longer wanted anything to do with the Senate. Commander Thorak of the Senate military stood to address the assembly. He was a massive creature with thick armor and battle scars from 100 conflicts. His voice boomed across the chamber. "We have monitored human military capabilities," he reported. "They possess advanced technology but relatively small forces. They could be defeated easily in direct combat." Senator Grixoth clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. "Then why don't we simply destroy them? One example would show other species what happens when they defy us." "Because," Zekthor said quietly, "destroying the humans would prove their point. Every species in the galaxy would see that we rule through fear and violence. They would know that the humans offered something better. The Senate chamber fell silent. This was the heart of their problem. The humans had exposed the Senate system for what it really was: control through intimidation and force. By offering genuine friendship and cooperation, humans had shown every species in the galaxy that there was a better way. Reports kept coming in from across the galaxy. The crystalline hegemony's mining worlds were experiencing worker strikes. The Altarian Empire's tributary species were demanding renegotiation of their treaties. The Mantis Collective's military alliance was crumbling as member species questioned why they needed protection from threats that the humans seemed to handle through diplomacy. Ambassador Martinez had visited the Senate's capital world the previous week. She came with a small diplomatic team and a simple message. We would like to invite the Galactic Senate to join our alliance. We believe cooperation works better than control. The Senate had refused, of course, but Martinez's visit had caused problems. She had been polite, respectful, and genuinely interested in Senate history and culture. She had asked thoughtful questions about galactic governance and offered to share human innovations in democratic systems. Some of the younger Senate members had been impressed. They began asking uncomfortable questions about why the Senate ruled, through fear instead of consent. Senator Vexnar's crystal body shifted to a deep purple color, indicating deep concern. The humans are not just winning allies, he said. They are making us question ourselves. The truth was becoming clear to everyone in the chamber. The human threat was not military, it was philosophical. By demonstrating that civilization could be based on cooperation rather than domination, humans were undermining the very foundation of Senate power. Captain Morrison had sent a message to every world in the galaxy. It was simple and direct. The people of Earth invite all species to join our alliance. We offer friendship, cooperation, and mutual respect. No one will be forced to join. No one will be conquered or controlled. We believe that free beings working together can achieve anything. The message had been translated into over 300 languages. It was being broadcast on every world, in every city, to every being who could receive it. The Senate realized they faced a terrible choice. They could try to destroy the humans and prove that they were tyrants, or they could watch their empire crumble as species chose freedom over control. Commander Thorak stood up again, his armor gleaming under the chamber lights. I recommend immediate military action. We must strike before more species defect to the human alliance. The vote was close, but the Senate made their decision. They would assemble the largest military force in galactic history. They would travel to Earth and demand human submission. If the humans refused, they would be destroyed as an example to all other species. As the Senate meeting ended, none of them realized they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They were about to learn that humans were most dangerous when they were being kind. The largest military fleet in galactic history approached Earth's solar system. 10,000 warships from 15 different species moved through space like a dark cloud. Each ship bristled with weapons capable of destroying entire cities. Fleet. Commander Thorak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Devastator. The massive vessel was twice the size of any human city. Its weapons could crack a planet's surface. Behind him, his officers prepared for what they believed would be a quick and decisive battle. The fleet had taken 3 months to assemble. Every major power in the Senate had contributed ships. The crystalline hegemony sent their diamond-hulled destroyers. The Mantis Collective provided swarms of fighter craft. The Altarian Empire brought their planet-killer dreadnoughts. Commander Thorak was confident. His tactical computers showed that human space forces were tiny compared to his fleet. Earth had perhaps 200 small ships, most of them designed for exploration rather than combat. The humans had some advanced technology, but nothing that could match the combined might of the galactic powers. The Senate's message was simple: surrender immediately or face total destruction. The human response came from Admiral Kate Sullivan aboard the UNSC Harmony. The Harmony was humanity's newest ship, sleek and advanced but still small compared to the alien warships surrounding it. Admiral Sullivan was a career military officer with 30 years of experience. She had commanded ships in Earth's small conflicts and helped design the planet's orbital defenses. She was calm under pressure, and believed in finding peaceful solutions to difficult problems. Her message was broadcast on all frequencies, so every ship in the alien fleet could hear it. Welcome to our solar system. I'm Admiral Kate Sullivan of the United Nations Space Command. We understand there's been some tension lately, and we're sorry about that. We never meant to cause problems. We'd like to invite your diplomatic representatives aboard our stations to discuss this situation. We've prepared a welcome reception with food and entertainment from all of Earth's cultures. Commander Thorak stared at his communication screen, in disbelief. His fleet had enough firepower to turn Earth into floating rocks, and the humans were inviting him to dinner. His tactical officer, a scarred veteran named Graktul, spoke up. "Sir, they must be trying to buy time. Perhaps they're preparing some kind of secret weapon." Thorak studied the tactical displays. Something was wrong with this picture. Earth's orbital defense platforms were powering down, not up. The human ships were moving into welcoming formations rather than battle positions. Several space stations had opened their docking bays and were broadcasting friendly greetings in multiple alien languages. The alien fleet held its position while Thorak tried to understand what was happening. His ships detected no hidden weapons, no secret fleets, no signs of military preparation. The humans appeared to be genuinely welcoming their potential destroyers. Captain Ben Carter docked his shuttle with the Devastator 2 hours later. He came with a small diplomatic team including Dr. Helen Ross and Ambassador Martinez. Carter was a former test pilot who now commanded one of Earth's exploration vessels. He had volunteered for this mission because he was genuinely curious about alien military technology. The airlock opened, and Carter stepped onto the alien flagship. The corridors were dark and intimidating, filled with armed soldiers and weapon systems. But Carter smiled and extended his hand just as Captain Morrison had done months earlier. "Captain Ben Carter, UNSC Explorer," he said to the heavily armed aliens who met him. "Thanks for accepting our invitation. We're honored to have you visit our solar system." Commander Thorak arrived to meet the human delegation. He was 12 feet tall with thick armor and cybernetic implants. His presence was designed to intimidate enemies and inspire fear. But the humans looked at him with genuine interest and respect. "I am Fleet Commander Thorak," he announced in his most threatening voice. "You stand before the combined military might of the Galactic Senate. Your world faces destruction unless you submit immediately to our authority." Captain Carter nodded thoughtfully. "That's quite an impressive fleet you have there. The coordination required to bring together so many different species must have been incredible. How do you manage communications between so many different technologies?" This was not the response Thorak had expected. The humans seemed more interested in fleet logistics than the threat of annihilation. Dr. Ross stepped forward with her ever-present tablet. "We've been studying your ships through our telescopes. The engineering is fascinating. Each species seems to have developed completely different approaches to space travel. We'd love to learn more about your propulsion systems." Ambassador Martinez smiled warmly at the massive alien commander. "We understand you're upset with us. We'd like to work out our differences peacefully. Earth has prepared a formal reception on Luna Station if you'd like to discuss this properly." Thorak was confused. The humans were acting like honored guests. Were visiting instead of conquerors demanding surrender. They seemed genuinely interested in alien technology and culture, rather than afraid of alien weapons. The alien commander decided to be more direct. "Your species has been interfering with Senate authority across the galaxy. You have convinced subject worlds to rebel against their rightful rulers. This cannot be allowed to continue." Captain Carter looked puzzled. "We haven't convinced anyone to rebel. We've just been making friends and helping people with their problems. Isn't that normal behavior between civilized species? The Galactic Senate maintains order through strength and hierarchy," Thorak explained. "Your actions have disrupted this order. Species must learn their place in galactic civilization." Dr. Ross tilted her head curiously. "But wouldn't cooperation work better than hierarchy? When people work together because they want to, they usually accomplish more than when they're forced to obey." The human delegation was escorted through the Devastator to see its weapon systems and military capabilities. Thorak intended this as a demonstration of power, a way to show the humans how outmatched they were. Instead, the humans were impressed by the engineering and asked detailed questions about the technology. Captain Carter wanted to know how the energy systems worked. Dr. Ross was fascinated by the different species' approaches to artificial intelligence. Ambassador Martinez asked about the logistics of maintaining such a diverse fleet. "Your people don't seem to understand the situation," Thorak observed. "This fleet can destroy your entire world." "We understand the capability," Captain Carter replied calmly. "We're just not sure why you'd want to. What would destroying Earth accomplish? We'd like to be friends and allies. We have a lot to offer the galaxy." The tour continued to the bridge, where Thorak showed the humans tactical displays of Earth's defenses. The screens clearly showed how outgunned the human forces were. "Your orbital platforms are no match for our weapons," Thorak pointed out. "Your ships are outnumbered 50 to 1. You cannot win a military confrontation." Ambassador Martinez nodded agreeably. "You're absolutely right. We couldn't win a fight with your fleet. That's why we're not trying to fight. We're trying to make friends instead." She gestured toward a viewport showing Earth in the distance. "Our planet has been preparing for this meeting for months. We have representatives from every nation ready to welcome you. Our best chefs have been working on foods that your species might enjoy. Our artists have prepared cultural presentations. Our scientists want to share discoveries and learn from you." Dr. Ross showed Thorak her tablet, which displayed images from Earth. There were pictures of great halls decorated for celebration, tables laden with food, stages prepared for performances, and meeting rooms set up for diplomatic discussions. "We've been looking forward to this for so long," she said excitedly. "Finally getting to meet the galactic community properly. We have so many questions about your histories, your cultures, your scientific achievements." Thorak stared at the images. Instead of military preparations, Earth had prepared for a festival. Instead of weapon emplacements, they had built reception halls. Instead of soldiers, they had sent diplomats, scientists, and cultural ambassadors. The alien commander was beginning to understand something disturbing. The humans weren't naive or unprepared. They had made a calculated decision to respond to overwhelming force with overwhelming hospitality. As the tour concluded, Captain Carter made one final comment that sent chills through every alien present. "We hope this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship between Earth and the galactic community. We believe that when civilized beings work together, there's nothing they can't accomplish." Thorak realized with growing horror that the humans were doing something far more dangerous than fighting back. They were treating the Senate's most powerful military force as honored guests and potential friends, and somehow it was working. The great reception hall on Luna Station had never seen anything like this before. Representatives from over 50 different species filled the massive chamber. The ceiling was transparent, showing the stars and the distant alien fleet. But inside, the atmosphere was warm and welcoming. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood at the main podium, looking out at the mixed crowd of humans and aliens. She wore her dress uniform but had left her weapons behind. Her voice was calm and confident as she addressed the gathering. "Welcome, everyone, to what we hope will be the first of many such gatherings. Today marks not just first contact between our species, but the beginning of true galactic cooperation." Fleet Commander Thorak sat at the main table with his senior officers. The massive alien looked uncomfortable in the festive setting. His tactical mind kept analyzing the situation, but nothing made sense according to his military training. The humans had prepared an incredible feast. Chef Maria Santos had worked for months creating dishes that different alien species could safely enjoy. Tables were loaded with foods from every Earth culture, carefully adapted for alien biologies. Dr. Helen Ross moved through the crowd like an excited student at her first science fair. She stopped at every table, asking questions about alien cultures, and sharing information about human achievements. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and soon aliens were eagerly explaining their technologies and histories to her. "The crystal resonance patterns in your ships are amazing," she told a group of crystalline hegemony officers. We've been working on similar harmonic technologies for our communication systems. Maybe we could collaborate on some projects. Captain Ben Carter was equally busy, discussing starship designs with alien engineers. His genuine curiosity about their technology impressed even the most suspicious aliens. "Your warp field generators are so much more efficient than ours," he admitted to a Mantis Collective engineer. "We'd love to learn how you achieve those power ratios. In exchange, we could share our work on gravity manipulation systems." Ambassador Martinez worked the room like the experienced diplomat she was, but her approach was different from traditional diplomacy. Instead of negotiating for advantage, she was building relationships based on mutual respect and shared interests. She stopped at a table where several moth people sat with their translator devices. These were the same beings that Dr. Karen White had helped save from the plague months earlier. "Your people have been so kind to us," their leader buzzed through the translator. "When we were dying, the human doctor came to help us," she asked. "For nothing. She saved our children." Other aliens nearby overheard this conversation. A representative from Proxima Colony joined in. "The human engineers fixed our power problems too," he said. "They worked for weeks without payment. Then they taught us how to maintain the systems ourselves. We had been paying tribute to the Senate for centuries, but the humans helped us for free." More stories began to emerge as the evening continued. Representatives from 12 different worlds shared similar experiences. In every case, humans had arrived offering help instead of demanding tribute. They had solved problems, shared knowledge, and asked for nothing except friendship in return. Fleet Commander Thorak listened to these stories with growing unease. His intelligence reports had mentioned human activities on various worlds, but hearing the grateful testimonials was different. These beings were not just allied with humans, they genuinely loved them. Ambassador Zekthor, who had led the first contact mission, approached Thorak's table. His expression was troubled. "Commander, we may have made an error in our assessment," he said quietly. "The humans are not just winning allies. They are inspiring loyalty of a type we have never encountered." Thorak nodded grimly. In his centuries of military service, he had seen conquered peoples show many emotions toward their rulers: fear, hatred, resignation, even grudging respect. But he had never seen the kind of genuine affection and gratitude that these species showed toward humanity. Dr. Ross had moved to the center of the hall and was giving an impromptu presentation about human culture. She showed images of Earth's cities, art, music, and scientific achievements, but more importantly, she talked about human values. "We believe that every intelligent being has something valuable to contribute," she explained to the mixed audience. "Our greatest achievements have come from cooperation and sharing of ideas. We don't want to rule anyone or control anyone. We want to work together to explore the universe and solve problems." The alien representatives were fascinated. Many of them had never heard of a civilization based on voluntary cooperation rather than hierarchical control. A young Altarian officer raised his hand. "But how do you maintain order without authority? How do you prevent chaos and conflict?" Dr. Ross smiled. "We do have conflicts sometimes, but we've learned that people behave better when they choose to cooperate rather than when they're forced to obey. When everyone benefits from working together, there's less reason for conflict." Admiral Sullivan joined the discussion. "Our history wasn't always peaceful. We had wars and conflicts for thousands of years, but we learned that cooperation achieves more than conquest. When people feel respected and valued, they contribute their best efforts." Commander Thorak stood up abruptly. The conversations he was hearing challenged everything he believed about governance and military control. He needed to understand what was really happening here. "Admiral Sullivan," he announced loudly, causing the hall to fall silent. "Your species claims to value cooperation, but you are undermining the established order of the galaxy. The Senate has maintained peace for millennia through clear hierarchy and strong leadership." Admiral Sullivan faced him calmly. "Commander, with respect, have you maintained peace or have you maintained control? There's a difference." She gestured to the diverse crowd around them. "Look at this gathering. Representatives from dozens of species are talking, sharing ideas, forming friendships. They're here by choice, not by force. This is what real peace looks like. The Moth People's representative stood up. The Senate offered to help us during our plague, but only if we gave them our entire planet. The humans helped us and asked, for nothing. Which approach shows more respect for our people? Other voices joined in. The Proxima colonists talked about generations of crushing tribute payments compared to freely given human assistance. The Silicon beings described centuries of isolation before humans learned to communicate with them. Fleet Commander Thorak realized he was witnessing something unprecedented. These species were not just criticizing the Senate. They were rejecting the entire concept of rule by force. Captain Carter approached Thorak's table with a datapad. Commander, I've been talking with your engineers about fleet logistics. Managing 10,000 ships from 15 different species must be incredibly complex. How do you coordinate communications and supply chains? Even in this tense moment, the humans' genuine interest in alien capabilities was disarming. Thorak found himself explaining the challenges of multi-species fleet operations. It requires constant vigilance and strict hierarchy, Thorak said. Each species must follow precise orders without deviation. That sounds exhausting, Carter replied thoughtfully. Have you considered more collaborative approaches? Our research suggests that mixed teams often outperform hierarchical structures when people are working toward shared goals. Ambassador Martinez joined their conversation. Commander, we'd like to invite the Galactic Senate to consider a different approach to interstellar relations. Instead of control through force, what if we tried cooperation through mutual benefit? She pulled out a tablet showing a map of the galaxy. Imagine if every species contributed their best abilities voluntarily. The crystalline hegemony's energy technologies, the Mantis Collective's manufacturing skills, the Altarian Empire's organizational abilities, combined with willing cooperation from hundreds of worlds. The map showed trade routes, research partnerships, and mutual defense agreements all based on voluntary participation rather than forced compliance. This is impossible, Thorak declared. Without central authority, there would be chaos. Species would fight each other for resources and territory. Dr. Ross overheard and joined the discussion. But Commander, look around this room. We have representatives from species that were enemies for centuries, and they're talking peacefully. When people have common goals and mutual respect, conflict becomes unnecessary. As the evening continued, Fleet Commander Thorak watched something extraordinary happen. His own officers began engaging in friendly conversations with humans and other aliens. They were sharing technical information, discussing cultural differences, and finding common ground. The terrible truth was becoming clear. The humans were not defeating the Senate through superior force or clever tactics. They were making the Senate irrelevant by offering something better, genuine partnership based on mutual respect and shared benefit. By the end of the reception, Thorak understood that he faced an enemy more dangerous than any weapon. The humans were destroying his empire with kindness, dismantling centuries of control through the simple act of treating everyone as equals and friends. The galaxy would never be the same. 1 year later, the great chamber of the Galactic Senate was nearly empty. Only a handful of representatives remained in the vast hall that once held delegates from hundreds of worlds. Senator Vexnar's crystal body flickered with dim, defeated colors as he looked around at the empty seats. The Terran alliance had grown beyond anyone's imagination. What started as a simple offer of friendship had become the largest voluntary coalition in galactic history. Over 300 species had joined, bringing their best technologies, resources, and people to work together for mutual benefit. Fleet Commander Thorak sat in his personal quarters aboard a space station in the Rigel system. His mighty fleet of 10,000 ships had been reduced to fewer than 200. Most of his captains had defected to the human alliance, taking their ships and crews with them. The defections had started slowly. A few junior officers had requested transfers to human ships to learn about their cooperation methods. Then entire crews began switching sides. Finally, whole species withdrew their fleets from Senate service. Admiral Kate Sullivan now commanded the largest space fleet in the galaxy, but it looked nothing like Thorak's war machine. The Terran Alliance fleet was made up of ships from dozens of species, all working together by choice. Human vessels flew alongside crystalline destroyers, mantis fighters, and ships from worlds that had been enemies for centuries. The most painful blow to the Senate had come from within. Many of their own member species had voted to leave the authoritarian system and join the human alliance instead. The reasons were always the same. They wanted to be part of something based on cooperation, rather than control. Dr. Helen Ross had established the Galactic Research Institute on a space station near Alpha Centauri. Scientists from over 100 species worked together on projects that were advancing knowledge faster than anyone had thought possible. The Silicon beings were developing new computer technologies with carbon-based life forms. The Moth people were sharing their biological expertise with human medical researchers. The Institute had already made breakthroughs that solved problems across the galaxy. New energy sources, improved space travel, cures for diseases, and technologies that made life better for everyone. All of this knowledge was shared freely with any species that wanted it. Captain Ben Carter had been promoted to admiral and now oversaw the Alliance's exploration program. Mixed crews of humans and aliens were discovering new worlds and making contact with previously unknown species. But instead of conquest or forced integration, they offered friendship and the choice to join a voluntary partnership. Every new species they encountered was given the same simple message. We invite you to join our alliance. We offer cooperation, mutual respect, and the freedom to contribute your unique abilities to our shared goals. You are free to refuse, and we will still be your friends. The results spoke for themselves. 90% of newly contacted species chose to join the Terran Alliance after seeing how it worked. Ambassador Lisa Martinez had become the Alliance's chief diplomat. She traveled constantly between member worlds, helping to resolve disputes and strengthen relationships. Her approach was always the same: listen carefully, understand everyone's needs, and find solutions that benefited all parties. The Alliance had faced several major challenges in its first year. Resource disputes, cultural conflicts, and territorial disagreements had all threatened to cause problems, but each time, the Alliance's approach of open discussion and mutual compromise had found solutions that no one could have imagined under the old system. When the mining guild worlds claimed exclusive rights to the Vega asteroid belt, traditional, galactic law would have supported the strongest military power. Instead, the Alliance negotiated a sharing agreement where multiple species worked together to extract resources, with profits distributed based on contribution and need. The crystalline hegemony's former territory had transformed completely. Instead of tribute flowing to a central authority, worlds were trading freely with each other. Prosperity was spreading to planets that had been impoverished under Senate rule. Former Senator Grixoth of the Mantis Collective had joined the Alliance. As a cultural advisor, she now helped other hierarchical species transition to more cooperative systems. Her own people had voted overwhelmingly to abandon their rigid caste system in favor of the human model of individual merit and voluntary cooperation. I spent centuries believing that order required control, she explained to a gathering of former Senate officials. The humans showed us that true order comes from people choosing to work together because they want to, not because they are forced to. Fleet Commander Thorak had watched his empire crumble not through military defeat, but through irrelevance. His remaining forces controlled only a few dozen star systems, mostly unpopulated outposts that nobody wanted. The final blow had come when his own homeworld, Altair Prime, voted to join the Terran Alliance. The planet's population had seen the prosperity and freedom enjoyed by Alliance members and decided they wanted the same for themselves. Thorak received a personal message from Admiral Sullivan on the day his homeworld defected. The human admiral appeared on his screen with the same calm, friendly expression she had worn during their first meeting. "Commander Thorak," she said gently, "we know this must be difficult for you. Your homeworld has voted to join our alliance, and we want to welcome them properly. We'd also like to extend an invitation to you personally. The alliance could use someone with your experience and leadership abilities." Thorak stared at the screen. The human was offering him a position in the organization that had destroyed his empire, not as a conquered enemy, but as a valued colleague. Your people have taken everything from me, Thorak replied bitterly. Admiral Sullivan's expression remained sympathetic. We haven't taken anything, Commander. We've offered people a choice, and they've chosen freedom over control. But you still have value. Your strategic mind, your organizational skills, your knowledge of galactic politics, all of that could help make the Alliance stronger. The offer was genuine. The humans wanted to turn their former enemy into an ally, not through force or manipulation, but through respect and opportunity. Ambassador Martinez had visited the remaining Senate worlds, personally carrying the same message to each one. The invitation is still open. We believe everyone deserves to be part of something better. Some Senate officials had accepted and joined the Alliance. Others had retreated to remote systems where they tried to maintain their old ways of control. But their influence grew smaller, each day as more species chose cooperation over domination. The galaxy had fundamentally changed. Instead of dozens of separate empires competing for dominance, there was now a single voluntary alliance that welcomed everyone. Trade flowed freely, knowledge was shared openly, and conflicts were resolved through discussion rather than warfare. Dr. Karen White, the doctor who had saved the Moth people, now directed the Alliance's medical research program. Diseases that had plagued species for millennia were being cured through collaborative research. The Moth people's gratitude had turned into active partnership, and their biological expertise was helping save lives across the galaxy. Engineer Pete Collins had established the Galactic Infrastructure Project, where teams of mixed species worked together to build better transportation, communication, and energy systems for everyone. The project was funded through voluntary contributions and managed through democratic decision-making. Teacher Amy Johnson's cultural exchange programs had grown into a galaxy-wide education network. Young beings from hundreds of worlds studied together, learning not just academic subjects but how to work cooperatively with different species. They were becoming the first generation of truly galactic citizens. The transformation was complete. Fear-based control had been replaced by respect-based cooperation. Military conquest had been replaced by voluntary alliance. The threat of destruction had been replaced by the promise of mutual prosperity. Fleet Commander Thorak finally understood what made humans so dangerous. They didn't destroy their enemies. They turned them into friends. They didn't conquer through force. They won through kindness. They didn't rule through fear. They led through inspiration. The humans had proved that the most powerful force in the universe was not weapons or threats, but genuine caring for others. When people felt valued and respected, they would do anything to protect what they had built together. The Galactic Senate had learned the hard way that humans were scariest when they were nice, because nice humans didn't just defeat you, they made you want to join them. And once you experienced true friendship and cooperation, you never wanted to go back to the old ways of fear and control. The galaxy was finally at peace, not through conquest, but through choice.